and welcome to Health Talks. Today, Nat is going to teach Jess and I how to know exactly when we're fertile and when we're ovulating.
So let's be honest, girls, everybody wants to know about this, I think, don't they?
I get so confused about it.
And it's probably the most asked question that I have. Now, to best understand it, I need to help to educate you, and I'll explain what a normal menstrual cycle will look like. But, you know, when you walk around and you get your period and you kind of know it's there, you know it's before you go to the bathroom, you know that it's there. Well, the same thing can happen with ovulation. You should be able to sense when you're ovulating, and this is because you have thousands of nerve endings down around the opening of the cervix and the vagina that allow you to sense this. It's just that we've lost the practice of it. So we've been speaking about lots of things in this Health Talk series that are quite old practices, and this is again something that I believe is an old practice that perhaps you know generations before us practiced. And because they were connected with their bodies.
I was going to say, it's just because we've become so disconnected from our bodies, we don't actually tune in and try and listen to what they're telling us.
Exactly.
With everything and with this.
Exactly. So when we look at a normal menstrual cycle, we may have our period for roughly 5 days. I like it when patients have a 5-day period. That's about right. Hormonally, that's good for me. But it might be more and it might be less, and that's okay. Those 5 days, we write off and that's your period, and then after that, you should find that it's quite dry around the opening of the cervix. Now, it's what you feel. It's not what it looks like. You don't have to go fishing and stick your hands up there and find anything. It's all about if you shut your eyes and you think about it, what does it feel like around there? And everybody has the ability to do this. It's not difficult. So think about what it feels like. And in that phase, post-period, it should be dry. There shouldn't be anything there. And then what it will start to do is around day 12, somewhere around then, you'll start to notice it feels a bit moist and it'll gear up to being quite wet. Now, when we have this wetness, that's ovulation, and that can, for everybody, vary. It might be a day, you might just notice it's there for a day, or you might notice that it's there for 3 or 4 days. But the key is knowing that the very last day that you have that wet mucus there is ovulation. Okay. So you're not going to know until after the event has occurred, but so long as you're watching what's happened today and what's happened yesterday, you can generally work out whether or not you're ovulating. Now then what will happen from ovulation right through until when a woman's period arrives again, it should typically be dry. There shouldn't be anything there at all. Sometimes at the end, some women get a mucus plug that comes away, and so you might notice a bit of what looks like fertile mucus right before the period arrives. And some women can get confused with that. But generally that happens 2 to 3 days before the period, and then the period arrives, and then we go through the same process all over again.
Wow.
So here's the thing though, here's the tricky part. There are variations to that, and that's what you need to learn to know what your own body is telling you. So if you can apply that and just do it really simply to begin with, look at that and write it down. You need to have notes, because if you just think about it, you forget, and then you go, oh, I'm day 20. Have I ovulated? I think I saw fertile mucus. I'm not sure. You need to write it down. And I suggest to all patients that you do this for a period of about 3 months to begin with, till you start to know. The thing is, three months is great, because the first time you're just learning. The second time, if it's the same as the last one, maybe that's a coincidence. But by the time you get to the 3rd month, it's usually fairly accurate as to how your cycles will go. Now, say your cycles don't look like that. You need to make them look like that, really, because that's a healthy menstrual cycle. And if it doesn't look like that, it will indicate all sorts of things to me as a practitioner, which is nothing to be alarmed about, but it's your body speaking to you, telling you the information,
Just another one of its messages.
Exactly. I think there's a common theme between every topic that we talk about is like listening and connecting to your body.
That inner intelligence.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But we do so many things that take us away from that nowadays. So it's about coming back in.
It is. This is an amazing tool to help you understand what your body is telling you.
Absolutely.
It really is. Now, what I need to clarify is that for many reasons, your body will gear up for ovulation and it'll stop. And this might be caused by stress, medication, weight loss, weight gain, excessive exercise. There's lots of things that can stop you from ovulating. And again, it's because your body's protecting itself. It's saying, you know what? I can't follow through with this right now. You're kidding me, lady. I can't do that. And it'll come back and it'll try several days later. This will be reflected again in your mucus pattern. You will have that wetness and it will stop. And you may go, oh, it looks like I've ovulated. But if it comes back again, say 3 or 4 days later, that was an attempt of ovulation. So we tick that off as an attempt. And this is ovulation. And you can do that over and over again until your body actually does that. And this is what we see in polycystic ovarian syndrome, that these women will attempt several times in a cycle and then actually ovulate the last time. So how useful is that for women trying to have a baby with polycystic ovaries?
Wow.
It's so interesting, isn't it? It's just, and it just comes back to really listening and connecting. And I chart all of mine. I've charted mine for about 2 years. So I really do know, and exactly what you're saying, you know, it's about connecting and really knowing.
And the other thing that I think people need to be aware of is that fertile mucus isn't gross. It's just it's a natural thing that occurs in your body. If it starts to look gross, that's telling you something again. So this is another whole topic that I'd love to explore sometime down the track. But when mucus patterns change, it does indicate certain pathologies that may be present in the body. And then that opens up so much knowledge and empowerment to a woman. If she can see that that's changed, she can put in the necessary things to help to fix that.
Absolutely.
Right. And so I guess the topic I get asked a lot whenever you write for my website, whenever we talk about this, is if I want to prevent having a baby, when should I not have sex?
Great question. I'm glad you asked that. So in that window, that fertile peak, when we see that mucus, that wetness that we feel, it's the last day that we have that mucus. So like I said before, you don't know until after the event. But whenever there is fertile mucus there, you need to be careful. And then after you have that dryness, we count 3 days. So 3 days from that ovulation day. Now, look, the reality is it's very unlikely that on the 3rd day you're going to fall pregnant. But when we're using it as a contraceptive method, I like people to be really sure. And so we count 3 days from that last wet day to be safe.
Okay, 3 days from the last wet day.
That's right.
So how many days really are there that you are fertile?
In a perfect scenario, ovulation should take 1 day. You should have 1 wet day, 3 days to be careful, and then it should be dry for the rest of the time.
It's so funny because you spend, I don't know, a lot of our teenage years freaking out that you're going to get pregnant.
Doing drastic things like taking
the pill.
Taking the
and
pill.
the morning
The other
after
thing you need to be, and you need to be wary that if you have come off the pill, which a lot of people have been inspired to do lately, especially if you watch some of the stuff Jess and I have been putting out there and Mel, you need to be aware that your cervix won't secrete the mucus because the pill degenerates the little areas that actually secrete that mucus.
And it takes a little while once you've come off the pill for everything to kind of get back into order. And people kind of come off the pill, and you see this probably all the time, and they're like, well, I haven't got it, so I'm going to go back on it. It's like, chill out.
But why haven't you got it either? Your body has been completely ripped of vitamins and minerals. It doesn't have what it needs to go forward and menstruate. It's the same thing I say all the time is your body flicks a switch. It says, you know what? You don't need your reproductive organs to breathe, to live, to think. They're the least necessary part of us. So they just turn off. How clever is that of your body to do that? But how many times do women turn around and say, my body's failing me? My body's failing me, it's not working. And, you know, we've got to come back and say, your body's talking to you. Let's listen and work out what it's saying.
And when people come off the pill, you know, it's like your body's kind of relearning how to do it on its own again, you know, and people just get really impatient.
They do. And so this topic does open up a lot of discussion, I feel, and I think there's going to be a lot of questions. So please comment underneath, ask your questions. Please share this with your friends. It's a topic that's so dear to my heart and something that every woman needs to know. So share it around, like it, comment, and we'll see you next time.